Hello and welcome to the MindBody Learning Zone monthly chat. This month, we're going to be talking about Christmas and how we can put ourselves under so much pressure to get everything perfect. Plus, we're going to have a tapping meditation to help calm your nervous system so you can be more in the present moment. So I'm Amanda Collins and I'm a trauma and internal family systems informed wellbeing coach. And I use energy psychology techniques to help my clients along their personal recovery journey from chronic pain, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and other persistent symptoms. Now, my aim is always to empower my clients to have an understanding of self on a deeper level and to help them bring joy back into their lives. So I'd like to introduce Carole, my co-host and co-founder of the MindBody Learning Zone. So Carole, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Amanda. So as Amanda says, my name is Carole Randell. I'm a psychotherapist, CERPA trained practitioner, and I work with clients with medically unexplained symptoms of long-term chronic pain. So today we're going with all the P's, perfectionism. So I'm going to have a go at this because we've had a real giggle about this slide. Perfectionism in psychology is a broad personality style characterized by a person's concern with striving for flawlessness and perfection, and is accompanied by critical self-evaluations and concerns regarding others' evaluations. I couldn't say this 5 minutes ago.
Oops, I went the wrong way.
That's all right. We're not aiming for perfectionism today, are we, Amanda? So does any of the above sound like you? Or even me, for that matter?
Oh, I just love that. I purposely didn't do that slide this morning because I couldn't get it correct. So I gave it to Carole to do. So it just shows you we've all got that perfectionist side to us.
Okay.
And I was just telling Carole before we started that Christmas tree is my Christmas tree. And when my daughters were growing up, I wouldn't let them touch the Christmas tree. I wouldn't let them put the decorations on. It's like the tinsel had to be just so, and the bauble was all in the right place and everything else. So when you see these sort of like Christmas movies of the family just putting them all in there, that didn't happen in my house. It does now. I must admit, I've now trained the girls to put them in the right places. But no, now I'm much better at that. But there was a time where everything had to be just so with me, and it's very difficult, isn't it, sometimes to drop that perfectionism?
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So in this chat we're going to be sharing 5 tips to help you with Christmas, and also a tap-in meditation to set you up wonderfully for Christmas and the New Year celebrations. So we're going to be covering let go of expectations, heal the buttons, choose what you bring, you're only responsible for your experience, and remember what it's all about. So let's get started. Let go of expectations. Now, we've all seen the Christmas commercials, sitting around the table, everybody laughing. Truth is, they're all actors. It's not real. We've all also seen everybody opening their presents with smiling faces, and this is all what we want each time. But the truth is, sometimes people put on that false smile, thinking not another pair of socks or bath salts that I won't use. And we're also thinking about, everybody getting on and talking and laughing with each other. And what really happens is one of the kids stomps off in a huff, or an annoying uncle or somebody says something inappropriate again, or your mother-in-law criticizes your roast potatoes. And you just think, you just wanted it all to be so perfect. Breaking news, that annoying uncle, he might never change. And it's not your job to change him or the mother-in-law. So we need to let go of that expectation. They are who they are. Just let that go. And your roast potatoes, they may never be crispy and fluffy. When we let go of the expectations, the things and people that need to be perfect, we're then able to see all there is to celebrate. We can be in the present moment and actually enjoy the moment. And that includes the soggy potatoes. And I've had soggy potatoes before.
as we know, there's always someone that presses our button and upsets us every single time. So whether it's someone who comments on how we look or asks about, have you got a boyfriend yet? Are you going to get married? You know, are you engaged? Whether it's, did you get that job? And they push your buttons. Why not leave your buttons at home? When we take responsibility for leaving those buttons behind, we heal them. And then nobody can get to us. There's no one that can press our buttons. No one can make us feel bad without our permission. So if we're expecting a certain topic of conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable, like your gran shouting across the room out loud, oh my goodness me, you've put on so much weight this year. Why not think about tapping on it beforehand? You might say, just do the under table tapping, for example. Even though I get so angry when Nan says those hurtful things to me, I accept myself and choose to feel calm and confident.
And I think that's really important what you were saying there, is like, we can't change others, but what we can do is change the way we react to something.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important message, isn't it? It's, you know, I used to always have a family member that always told me I'd put on weight every single time that I saw them. And it was so hurtful. And I would get so upset until in the end that you had to think, well, they're always going to do that, whether it's intentionally or not. But you can do your tapping, even though they're going to say something about my weight. You know, I can choose to let that go, you know, and work on that beforehand, isn't it? And set yourself up. I think that's important.
We kind of know it's going to happen. That's the thing. And I think we get anxious about it, don't we? You know, we try and protect ourselves. We're perhaps a little bit more prickly about, we know this is going to happen. We know it's going to hurt. We know it's going to trigger us. So, yeah.
And that's a really good point about, you know, when they press our buttons, when we get triggered. And this is where I think, you know, yes, we can do that little bit of tapping or a little bit of journaling around, oh, so-and-so is going to say this. But we can also dive a little bit deeper. Where do these sort of like insecurities of ours, where does that vulnerability come from, isn't it? And when we go back and we can heal those past unresolved traumas, actually then when somebody says that something to us, it doesn't trigger us anymore. And that's the whole point of leave those buttons at home. It's like, well, they're not triggering me now because I've worked on them, isn't it?
And the other thing is to, you know, to chat to somebody else about it. I mean, my husband and I kind of had a little bit of a running joke. I wonder how long it will be before Nan says something about your weight. And then we just look at each other and smile. And actually it took the whole sting out of the whole experience. Yeah.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's, you know, expecting it, setting yourself up that if somebody does this, I'm going to feel calm and grounded, you know, rather than I'm going to react to them, you know. But I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later on another slide, but when we sort of like use the balance procedure, we can create what we want. So rather than going in, it's like, oh, Nan's going to say that, you know, or that relative's going to say that again to me. We're creating that. So we can actually change it around where that doesn't happen at all in our reality. So I think that's important to say as well, isn't it? Yeah. So choose what you bring. Now, I'm not talking about which dish you're going to bring with you. I'm talking about your emotions. So when you walk in feeling tense and expecting the worst, that is exactly what you bring into the room. That's what I was just saying a moment ago. So take a few moments, pause, check in with yourself. What matters most is the energy that you bring in to the table or to the event, not the actual dish. So consciously choose what you're bringing, like the gratitude, the playfulness, the compassion, the excitement, the joy, not the fear and worry about somebody's going to say something to me and I'm going to get all upset about it. Now I'm talking about food. So often me and Carole see, and even myself, that when we have these anxieties and things like that, it often goes hand in hand sometimes with food intolerances. We tend to be sensitive people. So one of my biggest worries when I visit people anytime, but especially over the festive period, is, will they cater for my dietary requirements? And I get quite anxious about this. So if you've got a good host, you know, let them know beforehand if you've got any dietary requirements, but better still, offer to bring your own food that you know that you can eat, or a dish that everybody can eat, so you don't feel left out at all. You know, everybody can share something. And I often find it easier sometimes that I do the hosting, and that way I know exactly what's gluten-free and what's dairy-free options are.
So remember, we're responsible for our own experiences. Don't give away your power to someone else. Think about what it is that's alive in you now. So what do I mean by that? So that is about, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Where are my thoughts going? Remembering that you're in the here and now. And often when we go into family situations, we kind of feel that we are responsible for everyone having a good time. And we start to begin to search in our minds whatever it is that we believe needs fixing, because we want everybody to have a good time. That's just part of our personality as well. You know, we've got that over responsibility part of ourselves. And we can only then focus on what's going wrong rather than what is going right. So switch around and think about the things that have gone well rather than things that perhaps haven't gone well. And as I said, bring a little bit of humor into it, you know, smile inwardly to yourself if you can't smile outwardly because you might upset somebody, but also sharing the thoughts around, I'm a little bit worried about what if this goes wrong, and have, you know, reach out for some support from somebody beforehand so that they're on hand, that you can turn to them if you need to. So when we focus on what we do want, we can create a new reality for ourselves. And if we just take that moment to create what we want, we can visualize it in our mind's eye, we can feel it, what does it feel like? And then we can start to believe in it. And the balance procedure is an excellent self-help tool to create the life that we want. And Amanda and I are going to be talking about that a little bit in a minute. So along with that responsibility for our own experience, if we're sensitive people, and generally we are, we're very sensitive to other people's emotions. We know when we go into a room, we can kind of gauge the atmosphere. It's important to tap before we go in amongst a crowd. After we've tapped, imagine that we've got this protective bubble around ourselves. There's a lovely picture here that Amanda's got of what's on her Christmas shelf, of having a bubble of protection around who you are. And the bubble has the ability to give and receive love, but what it does, it repels all negative energy. It's a simple visualization, but also a very powerful one.
Yes, I just love the balance procedure. It's such a lovely, simple, but effective tool for helping you create and change those emotions, those worries, those fears into a more higher energy, really, that joy, that happiness, isn't it? So, yeah. and creating it, you know, I think, you know, they say like the law of attraction, you know, we create what we're thinking. And I think that's very true. If we go in thinking, you know what, it's all going to go wrong and nothing's going to go right and whatever, you know, then we go in there and hey ho, what happens? Everything goes wrong, nothing goes right with anything, isn't it? So I think go into it with like, no, you know what, I remember actually that feeling when I got married. So I was we done it all ourselves. So I had trained as a cake decorator, so I'd done the cakes, I made my wedding dress and the bridesmaids dresses and everything else, and you know, friends helped me decorate, and we done all of this, and family done all the food and all of this. And I remember getting to outside of the church with all the bridesmaids behind, and I just like went, there you go, what will be will be. Now it's just like, I am going to enjoy the day, you know. And I thoroughly enjoyed the day. I didn't then worry about, you know, if the cake's going to wobble or do anything. It's like I'd done my bit, and the rest of the day was like, you know, my vision is, you know, and I'm sure there was things that went wrong or not quite right, but if they did, either I didn't notice them or they didn't affect me. I wasn't in that mood to like, oh, everything's gone wrong, my whole day's ruined. I went in there with a good positive energy of like, right, I'm going to enjoy the day. And I think, we can apply that to Christmas. It's like, I've done my best, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I've had Christmas dinners where literally the potatoes haven't cooked, everything else is ready. It's like, the stuffing is crisping on the top a little bit too much now because the potatoes need a little bit more time. And it's like, at the end of the day, you just put it all on the table and it's like, there you go. It is what it is, but I love the stories that come back from the things that have gone wrong now.
Absolutely. Those are our fondest family memories, I have to say. And we giggle about them to this day,
Yeah.
It's not about, they don't always remember, the big things. It's just the little things that are a bit quirky that really make people laugh. Yeah.
And I remember one particular one. So Nicola, my eldest, was, I think, coming up to 2, or maybe, coming up to 2. And somehow or other, Christmas tree, you put all the Christmas presents underneath, and you're so looking forward to, like, a first Christmas where they can really interact with you this time. She might have been coming up to 3 actually. And you're like, oh, can't wait to see her face. And somehow or other, she had got downstairs before us and opened every single present under the tree, every single present. She's just sitting there, boxes, paper everywhere. And I was so upset. It was just like, oh, but I didn't see her face when she opened up the presents, But now that's such a lovely, fun story to talk about, isn't it? But, it's like, no, it wasn't perfect, but actually it was more special.
Exactly. Yeah. Memories. Yeah.
Memories. And that's what I think. So exactly what you just said, make memories, laugh about them. When something goes wrong, laugh about it, isn't it? Make memories.
Not perfection. Yeah.
Not perfection. Absolutely. Remember what it's all about. Celebrate all of life's blessings and to connect with each other. So it's not about the perfect table setting or the perfect dinner. It's about connection and gratitude. The best way we can do this is by slowing down and allow ourselves to be present. Be present with the joy and the excitement. Do you have a perfectionist part? Now, perfectionism is a learned behavior. We weren't born to be a perfectionist. So the toddler doing finger painting doesn't think about the perfect painting, just about making a mess and having fun. We've learned that by doing things well and perfect keeps us safe from harm and criticism. So what me and Carole have found is that often there is, past traumas where when we have made a mistake or haven't done anything well, we've really got told off for it. So as I say, it's a learned behavior that we make sure everything is perfect, everybody's happy, and that way nobody can come back and hurt us. So we need to get to know this part that feels that it has to be a perfectionist. Find out its story. What is its fears? What is its worries? Befriend that part. Really get to know that part of you. And as I said before, this part often is protecting a hurt part and trying to keep us safe. So one thing I will say is all parts are welcome. All parts are doing their best job really with love.
I just wanted to add a little bit extra in about the perfectionism side of self. That comes from what we call our maladaptive child. So we will have adapted to circumstances to be perfect, to not upset other people. And so we bring that belief that if we're good enough and if we do everything perfectly, then things will be okay. So we've brought that all the way through from our early childhood. And so, what better time than to start to question that perfectionism? Is it really ours to hold, or is it because the way we behaved as a child was a way for us to be good and helpful to others? Rather than now, let's think about ways in which we can be good and helpful to ourselves.
Exactly. And to know the reason why we felt we had to be good and helpful, was that to protect us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And to look at that. So very good point. So using EFT tapping. Tapping helps us set aside time to acknowledge our worries rather than burying them, as ignoring them only makes them worse. And we can tap on acupressure points while we are saying all the things that are worrying us. A simple way to use tapping is to ask yourself, what bodily sensations come up? What am I feeling? I feel as if, oh, everything's going wrong and Christmas just won't be right. And what am I thinking now? Well, they're going to think that I'm really rubbish at doing this and I'm not a good mother, wife, or whatever. Continue to tap through the points until your intensity of your anxiety starts to come down, and then you can change to the more positive statements. Now we're going to do a tapping meditation together for a stress-free Christmas. Family gatherings or any get-togethers at Christmas and New Year can be fun for some and enjoyable, but for others can be very stressful and overwhelming. Trying to make everything perfect and enjoyable for all can be exhausting and disappointing if it doesn't go as planned. So if you find Christmas stressful and overwhelming, then doing this tapping meditation can really help you find some peace and calm before you join your family and friends, or at any time that you feel overwhelmed by all the things that you need to do. This tapping meditation is for those who fear conflict, criticism, stress, worry, and overwhelm. When we have these emotions and we try to ignore them, symptoms can show up in a variety of places in our body, such as headaches, shoulder tension, stomach aches, and more. And if you're new to tapping, then please have a look at my intro to tapping video on my YouTube channel, where you can learn the tapping points. But for now, just follow along with me. So just take a moment, close your eyes. And I want you just to think about Christmas, any gatherings. Think about all the things that you have to do. Think about the people. How do they make you feel? Think about any worries you have. Think about your beliefs about Christmas. And just tune into your body and the feelings that you're having. Where do these sensations and feelings appear in your body? Give this sensation a name. For example, this tightness in my chest, or this jittery feeling in my stomach. Now just make a note of this intensity on a scale of 0 to 10, either in your mind or write it down. 0 being no sensation at all, and 10 being the worst this sensation has felt. Now let's begin by taking a nice, deep, calming breath. And breathe in and exhale. As always, we begin by telling the truth of how we feel, so we can release this intensity. We then allow ourselves to turn more to the positive. So you can have your eyes open or closed. So start tapping gently on the sides of your hand and repeat after me, either in your mind or out loud. Even though I feel stressed and overwhelmed about having a perfect Christmas, I honor how I feel, and I give my body permission to relax. Even though Christmas and gatherings have been stressful in the past, I accept how I feel, and I'm open to a new approach. Even though I feel stressed and overwhelmed by the thought of Christmas and everything that I have to do, I honor how I feel, and I allow my body to relax. Start tapping on the eyebrow point, and I will guide you through the points. Just answer my questions, either in your mind or out loud. As you tap on the eyebrow point, simply tune into any worries or stress or overwhelm you have about this Christmas. Move into the side of the eye. What is it about this Christmas that makes you feel stressful? What overwhelms you? Under the eye. What do you feel you have to get perfect? Under the nose. Why do you need to get this perfect? On the chin. What would happen if it wasn't perfect? Collarbone. Who would criticize you if it wasn't perfect? Under the arm. Do you put pressure on yourself to be perfect? Top of the head. Where in my body do I feel this stress? Back to the eyebrow point. Is there a certain person or group of people who create the most tension? Just think about that as you tap and relax your body. Side of the eye. If there's a story you tell yourself of why it's been hard for you to be at family or friends gatherings, bring that to mind now. As you feel safe in the present moment and grounded. Under the eye. Simply allow yourself to be present with what might happen at this upcoming gathering. Think about that now. Under the nose. As you say present to any feelings or worry or stress, just relax your body, releasing any tension as you breathe and relax. Chin. Imagine the scenario with what you fear is happening, but imagine what it would be like to observe that scenario, but feel at peace in your body. Collarbone. Imagine hearing a comment or seeing somebody behave in a certain way. But know that it doesn't now bother you and you can feel detached. Simply witness it from a calm and centered place. Under the arm. You may not have to agree with that person or even like a certain dynamic, but give yourself permission to detach from it, knowing that you don't need to fight it or fix anything. You can simply notice it and let it pass. Imagine what that would feel like. Top of the head. When you are less fearful with what could happen, you can begin to relax and find the best in the situation. Imagine yourself feeling detached from any drama as you look for moments to enjoy. Let's move back to the eyebrow point and repeat after me. I am only responsible for my happiness. Side of the eye. And I choose to feel at peace. Under the eye. I have compassion for my family and friends. They are doing their best. Under the nose, they're doing the best with what they know. Chin. I let go of the pressure to change others. Collarbone. We don't need to agree on everything to love or like each other. Under the arm. I release the need for this gathering to go perfectly. Top of the head. I stay present and grounded. Eyebrow. I am open and flexible. Side of the eye. I take time to be present with those around me. Under the eye. We don't need to agree on everything. Under the nose. To find moments of joy. Chin. I am safe and protected. Collarbone. I am grounded and loving. Under the arm. I appreciate everything is going well. Top of the head. I am open to an easy Christmas. Stop tapping. Just take a nice big deep breath in and exhale. Just tune back into your body. How do you feel? Check in on the intensity of the stress and overwhelm you were feeling on the 0 to 10 scale. And make a note either in your mind or write it down. Any shift or 0 means you are heading in the right direction. If the intensity is higher than you would like, then repeat the tapping and include the thoughts and feelings that you have about your family gathering. And you can change some of the words as you tap. And just do the tapping meditation again and again until that intensity comes down.
Another great tapping round, Amanda. Thank you very much for that. And I think that's going to be helpful for me. Although I've worked on my perfectionist tendencies, they still do have a habit of rearing their ugly head when I feel under pressure.
Exactly. And I think the important thing is to recognize when we are under pressure. I know with me, I huff and puff. So if I'm busy doing something and got lots to do, which often you have at Christmas, I will find myself doing these things. It's like, huffing and puffing, and I catch myself thinking, right, okay, come on, step back, take that moment, do some tapping here, release that, what's going on here.
Yeah.
So, and make it a new sort of like ritual in the morning, Christmas morning or the night before. It's like, I love to read the night before Christmas, storybook to my girls, even though they're grown up, and sometimes they don't want to hear it now, so I read it to myself, but maybe a new ritual the night before is like, even though I'm worried about tomorrow and I've got relatives coming over, and is everything good enough? Or even this Christmas, I think we can touch on there's even more anxiety and more worry about perfectionism this year. I think, when you think to yourself, I haven't got the money, to do what I normally do, or to buy the presents that I normally buy for everybody. And I think that can be a huge emotional roller coaster for everybody, especially this year.
So remembering it's about family and making memory.
Yeah, exactly. It's so what I would say is get those board games out, dust them off, have them all there so everybody can choose what games they want to play. It is about those memories, playing the charades all together, just those silly games, isn't it, that bring that connectivity back to everybody. So brilliant.
Just enjoy it, basically.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yes, we do still have to, cook the dinner, well, you don't have to cook the dinner if you don't want to. You can have beans on toast if you want to, and that will be fine as well. But, it's seeing everything not as a chore, isn't it? And it doesn't have to be perfect. And a little bit like me now, I don't have to do all the decorating in the house. I can now delegate that out and feel okay about delegating it, rather than it's like, that angel's a bit wobbly on the top, or they put too many baubles on that side and not enough on that side. It doesn't matter. And that's where I think when we look inwards, what's triggering us, what our buttons are about, that we can actually like, oh, okay, I can take them out. I know where that's coming from.
Absolutely.
Okay, Carole, would you like just to wrap up for us? Let me share slide.
So as always, if you want more support, you can reach out to Amanda or myself. We offer a 30-minute free discovery call. We're always happy to answer questions. It really leaves us both to say, I guess, Merry Christmas and have a less than perfect one.
Yes, absolutely. Have a less than perfect Christmas. I love that idea. And if you want to get in touch with me or Carole, then here are our details. But yes, absolutely. Have a less than perfect Christmas. Enjoy it, connect, and have fun. And that's what I would say. And we look forward to seeing you all in the new year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda.
Bye for now. Bye, Carole.